First story. OP broke up with his ex and abandoned his son, replacing them with his new family. After 8 years, he reached out, demanding that his son help his daughter by donating part of his body. Now he's having a breakdown because his ex and son refused to help him. I, 27, am in a situation that's emotionally complex and morally gray, and I already know people are going to come for me hard. But I need to get this out. Back when I was 19, I was in a relationship with a girl I thought I'd spend my life with. We were both young and in college, and we definitely weren't being careful. She got pregnant. I freaked out. I told her I didn't want a kid, that we weren't ready. And yeah, I told her it was me or the baby. Not proud of that, but I was 19 and terrified. I didn't feel like I was ready to be a dad, financially or emotionally. I'd just lost a scholarship and was bouncing between jobs. I was panicking and wanted a way out. When she refused to get an abortion, I told her we were done. I never signed the birth certificate, never filed for custody, and didn't see the kid again. She blocked me and moved on. I just assumed I wasn't part of the picture anymore. She had the baby, a boy Jake, and I basically cut off all contact. Not going to lie, I was angry at her for going through with it when I said I didn't want to be involved. I felt like she made a choice without me, so I made mine too. In hindsight, that wasn't fair, but at the time I was convinced I was doing what I had to do. I told myself, she wanted the baby, so she can raise it. Fast forward a year or so, and I hear she got married. I didn't care. I told mutual friends I didn't want updates. I thought she was just trying to rope someone into raising my kid, and to me, that felt manipulative. Looking back, maybe I was bitter. Maybe I didn't want to admit I felt guilty. But I stayed out of it, just like she wanted. I moved on with my life. Eventually, I met my wife, and we had our daughter Maddie. She's 6 now. Sweetest, funniest little kid you'll ever meet. A few months ago, Maddie started getting tired all the time. Bruises on her arms, fevers that wouldn't go away. She was diagnosed with leukemia. I won't get into all the medical details, but the doctors say she needs a stem cell transplant. None of us are a match. Her chances without a donor. Less than a year. It's killing us. We were sitting with the transplant coordinator, talking about extended family, and that's when it hit me. I have a biological son out there. Jake. He'd be about 8 now. Siblings are often a good match for transplants, and half-siblings can sometimes work too. I figured it was worth looking into. It wasn't an easy decision to reach out. I knew it would be awkward, maybe ugly. But this is about saving a child's life, so I sent a few texts. No response. Tried again a few weeks later. Nothing. I even emailed. I never got a reply. Then I ran into my ex at a supermarket. I'm not saying I accidentally went there knowing she shops there, but I did remember where she used to go when we were together. I had to try. She looked surprised to see me. I told her about Maddie, that we were desperate. I said I knew Jake might not even know about me, and I wasn't trying to mess up her life, but that I needed help. That Maddie needed help. I asked if she would let Jake get tested, to see if he's a match. She got this look in her eyes like I just spat in her face. Told me flat out, he's not your son. You made that choice a long time ago. That I had no right to even ask. I tried to stay calm, but I was shocked. I told her it's not about me, it's about a little girl who could die. She didn't budge. Said Jake doesn't know about me, has a dad who raised him, and she's not going to confuse him or drag him through this just because I suddenly care. I snapped. I'll admit that. I told her she was being selfish. That I'd do anything to save my daughter, and if she wasn't going to help, I'd talk to a lawyer. Maybe try to file for custody. I wasn't even sure that would work, but in that moment I was furious. I felt like she was choosing spite over an innocent child's life. She walked away. Didn't say another word. A few hours later, my wife showed me a bunch of angry messages she got from the same number I'd been texting. Then my wife sent one back, calling her heartless. She was emotional, crying all day. Maddie had a fever again and needed to be rushed to the ER. I think that was the breaking point for my wife, seeing our daughter in pain, while my ex was out there acting like this isn't urgent. I tried to call again later that week. No answer. My ex blocked my number. I even messaged her husband on social media. No response. I don't think he even read it. Now, everyone I've talked to my family, a few friends says she's evil. That even if she doesn't want me in Jake's life, she should at least let him get tested. We're not asking for custody or visitation. We're asking for a blood draw. But I've had a few people, mainly people who don't know the full story, tell me I'm wrong. that I abandoned Jake, and I have no right to come back now, even for this. And look, I get it. I wasn't there for him. I'm not trying to play dad now. But this isn't about rights or parenting. This is about life and death. I don't want Jake to be part of our lives forever. I'm not trying to break up her marriage or confuse the kid. I just want to save my daughter. I don't think that makes me a monster, does it? I wasn't expecting a reunion. I wasn't asking to be called Dad. I wasn't asking for time with Jake. I asked for a test. A vial of blood. That's it. And in return, she basically told me to go F myself. And just to be clear, yes, I regret how things went down back then. But this isn't about redemption. I'm not trying to make peace with the past. I don't need forgiveness. I need my daughter to live long enough to see second grade. When I said I'd talk to a lawyer, it wasn't an empty threat. I actually did. Not because I want Jake in my life, but because if there's a way to force a medical test for life-saving treatment, I want to know. The lawyer said it's basically impossible. Since I'm not on the birth certificate, never filed for paternity, never paid child support, and legally have no parental rights, there's nothing I can do. Jake's not mine in the eyes of the law, just like she wanted it. I feel boxed in. My wife is broken over this. Every time she looks at Maddie, she sees a clock ticking. She doesn't understand how someone could know there's a chance to save a dying child and still say no because of personal pride or old resentment. And to be honest, I don't either. Some people have told me I'm only panicking now because it's my kid. Yeah, obviously. She's my daughter. She's 6. She wears fairy wings to bed and calls me super dad. What parent wouldn't go nuclear if someone stood between them and the only shot their kid had? And it's not like Jake would be physically harmed. It's not an organ. It's not painful. It's stem cells. A couple of hours of sitting in a chair with a needle in your arm. The doctors explained the whole process. He wouldn't remember it as anything traumatic. He's 8. He's not even old enough to understand the kind of decision that's being made for him. But I know it's not about the test. I know she's not scared it'll hurt him. She's using this to send a message. You gave up your rights, so stay gone. She's punishing me by letting my daughter die. And yeah, I said that to her. Maybe that's why she blocked me. But it's true. You can say I earned it. That I'm selfish. That I didn't care about Jake. So now she doesn't have to care about Maddie. But this isn't an eye for an eye. There's a 6-year-old girl who has nothing to do with our past. She's done nothing wrong. She just wants to go back to school, see her friends again, and grow her hair back. If she dies, and that's where this is heading, how do you not hold someone responsible for standing by and doing nothing when they could have helped? I've had people tell me this could mess up Jake mentally, that finding out the truth like this could be traumatic, that his whole identity could collapse. But how is that more important than saving a child's life? If he were 18, it'd be different. He could decide for himself. But right now, that decision lies with the woman who still sees me as a mistake she wants to erase. At this point, we've run out of donor matches. No relatives. No anonymous registry hits. Maddie's been in and out of the hospital for months. Her white blood cell count dropped again last week. The doctors say we need to act fast. I'm not writing this to make myself look good. I know I'll get dragged. But maybe someone will read this and understand that I'm not doing this to fix my past. I'm doing this because my daughter has a deadline. And the only person who can stop it is someone I used to love, who now sees me as less than nothing. So, Reddit AITA for trying to save my daughter's life by asking my biological son for help, even though I haven't been in his life. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. Let me break this down for you. You abandoned your son. You told his mother to abort or lose you. She made her choice, and you made yours. You never looked back, never supported him, never claimed him until your real child got sick. Now suddenly Jake matters. Not as a son. Not as a human being. As a walking stem cell bag. I'm sorry your daughter is sick. That's horrific. I truly hope she finds a match. But that doesn't erase your past. You didn't want to be a father, and now you want to force your son into a medical procedure because it's convenient for you. He's not a spare part. You don't get to opt out of parenting and then call in favors from a child you ghosted. You don't get to play victim now. You had rights. You threw them away. And now the consequences are hitting hard. Comment 2. I work in pediatric oncology. I've seen what these parents go through. What OP is feeling is real. Desperate people do desperate things. That said, YTA. Not because you want to save your daughter, that's human. You're a tab because you think biology gives you leverage after abandoning your son. Stem cell transplants aren't minor. The harvest procedure is less invasive today, yes, but it's still a medical procedure, and not something a parent, especially a non-parent, has the right to demand. And yeah, this could traumatize Jake. Not the needle. The truth. Learning the man who didn't want him came back to use him. No kid should carry that burden. I'm sorry for your daughter. I really am. But this was never about what you deserve. It's about what you already lost. You don't get to skip back in now that it's life or death. Comment 3. Not popular, but no. I don't think OP is a monster. He's a father trying to save his daughter. Yeah, he messed up back then. But he's not asking for Jake to move in. He asked for a test. That's it. If the roles were reversed, everyone here would be screaming about, what kind of monster lets a kid die over pride? I get it, Jake's mom is protecting her kid. But damn, this is a life. People aren't supposed to be this cold. Maybe OP doesn't deserve access. But Maddie doesn't deserve a death sentence either. This is tragic all around. There are no winners. Update. It's been a few weeks since I posted, and things have moved, but not the way I'd hoped. I appreciate the people who were honest, even the ones who called me an arsehole. I've had to sit with a lot of those words. I still stand by everything I said, but I'm not here to argue. I'm just giving the update. After my ex shut everything down, I figured that was it. But a few days later, she texted me. Said Jake had started asking questions because he overheard her and her husband arguing in the other room. She said she hadn't planned on telling him anything, but now she didn't have a choice. I told her if he was open to it, I wanted him to meet Maddie. She said absolutely not unless he asked for it himself. She was clear. There would be no pressure, no talk of donation, and I wasn't allowed to bring my wife. She wanted it private, simple, and only about the kids. I agreed. She said she'd talk to him slowly, explain who I am, and what's happening with Maddie. I didn't hear from her again for 5 days. Then I got a text saying Jake wanted to meet Maddie. We met at a park. I brought Maddie. My ex came with Jake. Her husband stayed home apparently. He was against the whole thing, but didn't want to stop Jake if he insisted. I stayed back on a bench while the kids played nearby. Jake's a good kid. Smart. Polite. A little shy. He and Maddie played with a soccer ball for a bit. Then sat and talked. Maddie told him about her cat, her hospital visits, and how she hates the food there. Jake just listened. Asked if it hurt. She said, yeah, sometimes. He looked sad. Didn't say much else. But he stayed. They sat there for almost an hour. He made her laugh a few times. At one point, she reached for his hand and said, I'm glad I have a new friend. He didn't let go. When it was over, Maddie said she liked him and asked if she could see him again. I said we'll see. Jake didn't speak to me. Didn't even look at me. Walked straight back to his mom's car. Later that night, I got a call from my ex. She said Jake told her he was glad he met Maddie, but he didn't want to get tested. Said it wouldn't feel right. He said he was sorry she was sick, but he didn't feel like it was his to fix. She said she made sure he knew it was his choice. And he made it. She also said something else. Jake asked if Maddie could know who he really was. Not as a donor. Just like her half-brother. He said, she's nice. If she wants to know me, I'm okay with that. I didn't know how to respond to that. Still don't. When I told my wife, she lost it. Started yelling about how his mom poisoned him, and that he's just a kid and doesn't understand what's at stake. Said the least they could do was test him. She wanted to message my ex again. I told her not to. She threatened to show up at their house. I had to take her phone and lock her out of social media for a bit. That was a fun night. We haven't talked about it much since. She barely looks at me. It's like she thinks I didn't fight hard enough, or maybe she just hates that I agreed to the park visit under their terms. I don't know. We're sleeping in the same house, but barely speaking. I tried to explain it to her. Jake isn't a donor. He's a kid. A kid I left behind. He didn't ask for this, and he doesn't owe us anything. I still think about what could have been if I'd done things differently. If I'd stepped up back then, maybe I wouldn't be here now begging someone else's son for a second chance at keeping my family whole. I don't know if Maddie will survive. We're still waiting on the donor registry. The doctors are doing what they can. Her next round of chemo starts next week. Her hair's almost gone now. She asked me if she's dying. I told her no. I lied. Jake sent her a card in the mail. Just said, hope you feel better. Let me know if you want to hang out again. Maddie smiled when she read it. She carries it around in her backpack. So no, we didn't get the stem cells. We didn't get the miracle. But Maddie got a friend. A real one. And maybe that counts for something. To answer the original question. Am I the arsehole for trying to get my son to save my daughter? Yeah, I probably am. But I'd do it again. Because when your kid is dying, you don't care how you look, you just want them to live. Update in our grief. It's been exactly 1 month since my daughter died. Maddie was 7. I've started and deleted this post more times than I can count. I don't even know what I'm looking for here. I guess I just needed to say it somewhere. Somewhere people understand. She passed early in the morning. 4:42 am. Her body couldn't take another round of chemo. We waited for a donor, hoped until the last minute, but it never came. I held her hand. She asked me if she could go home. I told her she was already there. I think she knew what that meant. I still see her everywhere. In the empty spot at the table. In the closet we haven't touched. Her drawings are still on the fridge. Her toothbrush is still in the bathroom. I haven't been able to throw it out. It feels like throwing her out. People keep saying things like, time will help, or, at least she's not suffering anymore. I know they mean well, but it doesn't help. I'd take all her pain if it meant she was still here. I'd take every second of it. I miss her voice. I miss the way she used to sing made-up songs while brushing her teeth. I miss the way she said, actually, before correcting me about something silly. I miss her hugs. I miss the weight of her head on my shoulder when she fell asleep in the car. I miss her. She wanted to be a veterinarian. She was terrified of needles, but kept saying she'd get over it if it meant helping animals. I haven't really cried today. That's new. Doesn't feel like progress, though. Just feels like the sadness is settling in, deeper and heavier, like concrete. We didn't have a big funeral. Just family. I couldn't speak. My wife hasn't really come back to herself. Some days we sit in the same room and don't say a word. I think we're both trying to survive in our own ways. There's space between us now. Not anger, just grief. If you're a parent, hug your kid. Tell them you love them. Every night, every morning, every chance you get. I don't have anything wise to end this with. Maddie was here. She mattered. She was loved. She's still loved. I just wish she was still here. Thanks for reading. Second story. My son's stepsister told her father that I was the best, and she wished I were her father after I gave her presents and treated her the same as my son so they wouldn't resent each other, like my siblings and I did because of our parents playing favorites. Now, her father is demanding that I keep my love only for my son and leave his daughter out, and I blame everything on my deadbeat ex. I am 32M, and 8 years ago, from a short fling, I had a son. My son's mother was a single mother of 2 at the time, and has had 1 more kid since then. My son is 7. It was a messy ordeal at first, and I was convinced he wasn't my kid. But DNA tests, yada yada, and it was proved he was my kid. She didn't sue me for child support, as she didn't have the funds, but I was not going to let my son grow up without money, so we have an agreement. I pay her around 3-4K a month. I work sales and get a bonus yearly, so I pay more during the holiday season, and I make in the mid 100K range, so it is more than what the court would have ordered, but I want to be fair. She has said sometimes she uses my money on her other kids, and that is whatever. All this to say, I think I am pretty fair. Whenever I go bring a meal to my kid, or give him a console, a Switch 2 recently, I tell him to share it with his siblings, or I bring them a meal too, so they can all eat together. I even give them all presents for their birthday, so they don't feel left out when I only give presents to my kid. I am not a holier-than-thou guy. I just want him to have a good relationship with his siblings, and if money and gifts allow that, I am okay with it. The last thing I want is for his siblings to resent him for favoritism. Once his mom and I are gone, they will be his only family, which is why I treat them well, and even let my money being used for his other siblings slide. His sister has a father who tries his best. I will call him Mark 36M. Recently, he reached out to me and said when I bring gifts for my son, he would prefer it if my son did not share them, and if I could stop giving gifts to his daughter. So, apparently, his daughter 13 is now comparing him to me, and is saying that I give her better gifts or whatever and see them more. She apparently said she wishes I was her dad. I told Mark that I will see what I can do, but now I feel kind of bad. Mark is the only other father who is genuinely trying, from what I can tell, and maybe I set the standards too high. My son's mother made the mistake of telling his daughter that I also fund some of their lifestyle, since I pay the most in child support. I feel bad about all this. The girl seemed kind of sweet, so I am surprised she would say things like this to her dad. She helps my son with his HW, and is a good older sister to him. So I feel like I have been treating her as she treats my kid. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't know why my son's mother brought financial information to her kids, and now I don't know what to do about Mark. I don't want to change how I treat my son's siblings, because I don't want him to have a bad relationship with them. My parents treated my younger brother better than me, and I have a not so great relationship with him now because of that. And I just don't want the same for my kid. So AITA for going above and beyond. Just for the sake of my son being treated better by his siblings at the cost of Mark and his daughter's relationship. Edit. Seeing comments about making a trust fund and college stuff for my son. Just wanted to put this out there. I also made a comment explaining. He does have a trust and a 529 plan. His mother is not aware of these, but he does have these, and money is going here aside from the money I give her. I was helped through college by my folks, and I plan on doing the same for him. Also, I own the apartment I live in, and he will be receiving it. He is also included in my parents' will as well, with a separate trust they have given him, in which I will be the guarantor until he is 25. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA. I think it's lovely that you include the other kids. Perhaps tone down what you spend on all of them. Take the excess you would have spent and put it in a trust fund for your son. This way you are still gifting your son, but the one everyone else sees is more in line with someone who has a smaller income. The rest is going to a trust for his future. Something he will very much appreciate in a few years, and possibly his whole life. Also still buy for the other kids, but make things less expensive. You're doing enough giving her so much every month, as that really helps her keep a good roof over all their heads in a safe neighborhood. OP's reply to commenter 1. Thank you. I will take it into consideration. My son does already have a trust, and the money I give his mother is not included in that. He has a trust and a 529 plan, separate from the money I give. I just haven't told his mother yet, because, to be very frank, I believe if she knew I was putting money in there, she would ask for more monthly, and that may take me over my monthly limit. I also want to start my own business, so I have been trying to put money aside for that as well. And I know it seems unrealistic, but I want to do everything without compromising on anything for now. But we will see. Commenter 2. OP's reply to commenter 2. Get help, please. Commenter 3 first comment. NTA, but I do think it's insane you're paying her that much in child support. My ex makes multiples of what you make and pays half that, and I have primary custody. It is wonderful that you are taking care of your child, but it isn't your job to buy groceries for the whole house. And your ex didn't need a lawyer to take you or her other baby daddies to court. She can file herself and hold each of them accountable. If you want to be there for your kid and not create these imbalances, I suggest paying child support according to the state guidelines and then taking on a larger percentage of the split for other things like medical and extracurriculars, etc. Then with the leftover money, I would start a 529 account for your son to pay for college, so he isn't left with loans, or start a separate trust fund for him so that he can buy a house and start a business as a young adult. OP's reply to commenter 3's first comment. I made an edit about the 529 in trust comments. He is fine in that aspect. I can afford to pay her this much for now, which is why I am doing it. I own the place I live in right now, so I don't pay rent, and the income I listed is only from my job. I have other income streams, real estate and ETFs mostly, so I think it will be fine. Granted, it's nowhere near as much as my salary, but I have more than enough to get by. I have more money. It's just not liquid. My son's mother is quite literally unable to hold down a job. I made a mistake having my son with her, but now that my son is here, I can't let that be an excuse when I am able to afford to give them that much. I love my kid. I do not regret my son at all. If I let her take me to court, our custody agreement right now is not set in stone, and my son spends some time over the summer and holidays at my house or with my folks. I am not going to risk anything. I don't complain about his mother to him, ever. But she can be really vindictive if her needs are not met. I reap what I sow, and if putting up with her until my kid is 18 is the best thing for him, I will do what I need to do. The way I see it, this is the price I pay for not thinking about the consequences of my actions. Commenter 3's reply to OP's reply. Respectfully, you need a lawyer and to pursue custody based off of what you just said here. Why are you letting someone incapable of holding a job, and who is vindictive, and who is using you for money have primary custody of your kid? Why haven't you fought for 50-50 at the minimum? She has no money, no job, and 4 kids by 3 different fathers, and you have suitable housing, reliable income, and seem to have a decent head on your shoulders. You could easily win primary custody, and at a minimum would be granted 50/50ths. At this point, I'd have to say you are an A for not fighting for custody of your kid, and instead just throwing money at the situation. Lawyer, now. OP's reply to commenter 3's reply. She is vindictive to me and her partners, but she is a great mother to her kids. I cannot deny that. I get what you are saying, but if push ever came to shove, my kid would choose his mom over me. All the kids love her. They give her a hard time, but they love her. She makes them handmade gifts from scratch for their birthday, takes time to know each kid's strengths, weaknesses, and makes sure they get what they need to pursue their strengths, etc. My son has an older brother with a deadbeat father, but the kid is pretty good at tennis, and she will argue with the deadbeat and threaten him and make sure her kid has enough money to practice tennis. And he is a state-level player. My own son was bullied in school and decided to hit his bully and got in trouble. She believed him and went down there and sorted it out. She could have easily just accepted something and left it, like my folks did to me growing up. But she fought for my son because she believed him and wanted to do right by him. She is a lift the car to save my kid woman. I agree she has her flaws, and I hate the way she treats me. She can't hold down a job, and yeah, maybe I could win a custody case after a lot of time, stress, and effort. But despite how much I can't stand her, she is a good mother, and I can recognize that. I just have to put up with her until my kid is 18, and then my kid and I can have a separate relationship, and he can have a separate relationship with his mother. It would have been easier for me legally and morally if she were a terrible mom. But thankfully, for my son's sake at least, she is a good, maybe even fantastic, mother. Top comments. Comment 1. AmITheA, but Mark has a valid complaint. Can you work with him? Find a middle ground where he feels comfortable. You've explained yourself well here, so you could do the same with Mark. I'm sure his daughter's words stabbed him through the heart. The here is your ex. She needs to be held accountable for the harm she's done by running her mouth about money to her children. You have a ton of leverage here. Use it for the greater good and make her clean up her mess. This is a great spot for you and Mark to stand united, for the good of all the children. Edited to add. Perhaps lean into experiences over gifts with the other children. I'm thinking a double the dad's day, where you and Mark take all the kids to dinner and a movie, skating, paintball, or whatever you can come up with. Kids really want your time more than anything else. I was hurt as a child by the attention given my stepsister after my father remarried. It came from her grandparents, but my father ignored it, and though I'm 65 now, it's still one of my most painful memories. You are a good man for doing what you're doing. A bit of a tweak can really turn this situation from a mild negative to a resounding positive for all concerned. Comment 2. Yeah, I feel a parent meeting is in order between Mark, OP, and Mum to get to the bottom of this. What OP is doing is amazing and will ensure all those kids prosper, and Mum needs to be reminded to not bite the hand that feeds. Mark is in a lose-lose situation. Mum is yapping constantly, which will put strain on a family and in turn cause problems for OP's kid. Comment 3. I really commend you for your actions and the reasons for them. Mark needs to understand cutting off your generosity at this point will only damage their relationship. He may not be able to match your financial contributions, but he can certainly put as much time and effort into connecting with his daughter, in person or not. He should be thankful for your subsidies. Keep up the great work, Dad AmITheA. Comment 4. I came to say the same thing. Mark can give her a gift that really means something, and that is his time. Time that he is actively engaging with her and doing things. Gifts are fine and dandy, but many people remember places, moments, ritual activities, etc. that we did with a person. The switches and gifts will fade, and OP will be the person that added positive things to the kids' lives. Mark can enrich his daughter's life with him being present. I do hope OP understands this too, and takes his son out one-to-one for bonding time too. Comment 5. AmITheA. But Mark is a bit misguided, though well-intentioned. It's obvious you both care about all the children, perhaps obviously giving preference to yours. I'd recommend talking to him, your ex, and coming to an agreement and talking all of you to his daughter. You can even take an activity, all of you together. In a way, it seems he needs help being closer, but he's the sort of guy that would be rather proud to openly ask. It is an odd family arrangement, but at the end of the day, the children are what matters. I am in a similar situation. I have 2 children, and the mums have another child each, and I try to keep all of them in consideration. Overall, OP is unanimously voted AmITheA. Update. 21 days later posted on OP's account as a separate post. Tried posting on the subreddit, didn't work, so it's here. Likely won't update again. Picking up where I left off, as everyone suggested, I had a face-to-face with Mark. I told him that our kids are really only have each other once all of us, and their mother pass away. And while I understand where he was coming from, I felt it unwise. Mark agreed and confessed that he made that initial call to me in a fit of anger hurt at his own daughter and their mother. I actually respect Mark a lot. The dude is a former gangbanger who turned around and found God recently and opened his own hardware repair store. It's just, as with any new business, he was struggling since it had only been 17 or so months since he opened his store. So he scaled back the money he was giving their mother, and she took it out on him by telling his daughter our financial information. He apologized for being out of line and offered to pay for the meal, and I took him up on that. He said he would have a word with his daughter about respect and asked me if I could tell their mother to not divulge finances and put pressure on her. He also said he always appreciated that I treated the kids similarly and asked if I would be okay if he did mini circuits and other small electronics projects with my kid. Since the last time he visited his daughter and bought her a circuit set, my son seemed to like it. I know jack tea about hardware, and it's probably a good skill to have, so I am happy someone can teach him. I guess it's his way of returning the gesture. So, after that conversation a little over 2 weeks ago, I went to their house and spent the usual time with my son. My son loves chic filet. I got them all chic filet. Afterwards, I pulled their mother aside and told her everything essentially. As usual, anytime I try to have a conversation with her, it resulted in her yelling and throwing SHT at me. She said I did not have a right to dictate what I could and could not tell her daughter, who wasn't even my kid. I tried arguing that finances that are related to me should be private, out of respect for me, but she didn't budge. Everything with her either blows up into an argument, or she tries to offer something else to pacify me. I was really exhausted that day, so nothing came of trying to talk to her. I just told her she shouldn't expect support if she can't respect my boundaries. But she mocked me, saying stuff like, "I know how to get you to pay, don't even try." I reconvened with Mark over the phone, explained what happened, and politely told him I tried my best. He thanked me for trying, and said he would have his own talk with her. Sorry it wasn't a happy update. It's so exhausting dealing with her sometimes. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.